Well, listen. If you don't have anything to say, you blab. You just go on and 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 on.
Voters do not agree with these despicable women on The View. They are wildly out of touch with the vast majority of Americans, and frankly, they should seek immediate.
Here's the real issue. When people keep talking without saying anything meaningful, it turns into noise. An endless stream of words with no substance. That's exactly why many voters have stopped trusting shows like The View. The panel feels disconnected from everyday Americans, and frankly, it shows. They seem far more comfortable talking to each other inside the same bubble than listening to voices outside it. For years, Whoopi Goldberg dominated the table like a judge in a courtroom. She interrupted guests, talked over dissenting opinions, and delivered her views as if they were final rulings. Sitting at the center, she carried herself like her word was beyond challenge. But then something unexpected happened right in the middle of live daytime television. She lost control.
She's probably been put in there because according to Donald Trump, she's a 10. You know that's what it is.
I want to be clear, though, it's not her first job. It was her first press briefing. She worked in the previous administration.
And Karoline was the reason. No one saw it coming. The show started the way it always does. Eye rolls, smug smiles, and a panel unified in its familiar, left-leaning rhythm. Everything felt predictable until it wasn't. The balance suddenly shifted. Whoopi leaned back confidently, ready to take command. The topic of wokeness came up again, treated as something sacred, almost untouchable. For them, it's more than a word, it's an identity. Believing she had the upper hand, Whoopi struck first. Without wokeness, you wouldn't even have this job, she said, aiming the comments straight at Karoline.
I'm going to stop this interview if you continue to attack my colleagues. I would like to talk about Joe Biden and Donald Trump, who you work for.
I am stating facts that your colleagues have stated in the past.
Okay.
Now,
I'm sorry, guys. We're going to come back out to the panel. Karoline, thank you very much for your time.
That was so good.
That was the moment everything changed. The mood in the room tightened. You could feel the tension. Even the audience sensed it. Joy Behar, usually comfortable mocking conservatives, looked uneasy and shifted in her seat. What followed was exactly what longtime viewers expected: familiar talking points, repeated arguments, nothing new. After all these years behind the table, you'd think there might be something fresh to add. But once again, it was the same routine, the only difference this time. The audience noticed, and so did everyone watching at home. The tension in the room was unmistakable.
Statement afterwards, this young lady claimed her quote on-air snub proves that you-know-who will not be treated fairly in the upcoming debate. Now, do you think this is going to make people doubt whether CNN can stay objective, or is this more of the same of everybody's against me, it's all rigged, I tell you? Is everything rigged?
No, it's their MO. That's what they do. Rachel Maddow said last week, she's like, if the election is lost, it was rigged. If there's a debate, then the moderators are probably biased and they're prejudiced against.
Everyone could feel that something serious was about to unfold. What Whoopi clearly didn't expect was the response she was about to get. This wasn't playful banter or a routine exchange. Her comment went straight at Karoline's credibility, questioning her career, her intelligence, and her work ethic, reducing everything Karoline had achieved to a philosophy she openly rejects. It came off as dismissive and condescending, plainly meant to belittle. The audience clapped on cue. A few people laughed, but beneath the noise, there was discomfort. You could sense it. Something had crossed a line, even if no one was ready to say it out loud. Karoline, however, didn't flinch. She didn't rush to defend herself or search for a clever comeback. Instead, she chose a far more powerful response. With a calm smile, she said, "You just made a big mistake. It wasn't arrogance. It wasn't attitude. It was confidence, the kind that comes from knowing you have facts, proof, and control of the moment." And then she proved it. What followed was something the audience clearly wasn't prepared for. Karoline shifted the conversation to hard numbers, clear, verifiable figures that couldn't be brushed aside with jokes or sarcasm. She cited government spending reports showing taxpayer money being used on overseas gender studies, heavily ideological programs, and even children's media projects redesigned to promote American social messaging abroad, including in places like Guatemala. Each example landed with precision. She connected the dots carefully, arguing that what started as a social idea had turned into a political weapon, one used to pressure, punish, and silence dissent. As she spoke, the mood changed. The laughter stopped. Whoopi's expression shifted. The room went quiet, not because Karoline raised her voice, but because she didn't need to.
Divisive and disgusting speech that any president, certainly in my lifetime, has ever given. He essentially waged war on half of the country by saying that we are all a threat to democracy because we believe in putting America first. It's not radical to want to put your country and your own people first. It's not radical to want to have a strong border, a strong military, and to unleash the might of your own economy, not economies around the world.
Here's a tightened, engaging rewrite of your passage, keeping the meaning intact while treating roughly 20% for flow and clarity.
We have seen cultural Marxism trickling its way through every institution in this country. The public school system, the higher education university system, Hollywood, big tech, the corrupt mainstream media that I fought against in President Trump's White House are indoctrinating my generation of Americans into hating our country, hating one another based on race and gender and all of this other
Doesn't she have a commanding presence? Honestly, it's baffling why *The View* hosts would mock her instead of supporting another woman. That choice alone exposes their true motives. Karoline clearly isn't finished yet, and whatever she says next can't be ignored. We'll see how this unfolds.
You know, listen, if you don't have anything to say, you blab. You just go on and 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 on. That's what you hear.
Yeah.
When they don't have anything to hold you with, nothing to make you think about what they have to say.
The woman who once dominated conversations, shut down conservative voices, and thrived in high-pressure debates was suddenly on the defensive. Whoopi shifted in her chair. Her usual poise, the smoke, the confidence was gone. Her hands fidgeted, searching for something to anchor herself. She was used to guests stumbling under her rapid-fire commentary, but this time, the roles were reversed. Karoline refused to give her an opening. For the first time in ages, everyone realized Whoopi had trapped herself. Her mouth opened, closed, and opened again. Nothing came out. The audience, usually eager to cheer her on, sat awkwardly silent. Even her staunchest supporters seemed unsure how to react. The energy in the room shifted. Nobody knew whether to applaud, laugh, or simply wait. Even the camera crew hesitated. Should they cut to a commercial or linger on her shocked expression? Whoopi, normally quick with a sharp remark or dismissive gesture, froze. There was no escape. And suddenly, a glaring question emerged. If wokeness truly champions diversity and inclusivity, why are conservative women singled out? Why does tolerance turn hostile toward those who dissent? She had nothing. No clever quip, no response, nothing to spin. The silence stretched on. Joy Behar tried a nervous joke, but it was too late. The damage was done. On live television,
they talk at you, not to you, and that's what she was doing, and she was doing it, and it's not new.
No.
But everybody's hip to you all now.
Yeah.
And we are anticipating that you are not prepared. Because you keep saying you going and you preparing when you're on the train.
Whoopi Goldberg had, for once, completely lost control. Honestly, it's hard to watch. When confronted with facts she can't easily dismiss, her arguments come off as patronizing, even childish. It raises a serious question. How does someone like her maintain such a dominant voice and a devoted following? Watching someone with so little substance hold a prominent position is frustrating. She may feel untouchable after years of daytime TV, but you'd think someone capable of real, meaningful conversation would have replaced her by now. Then there's the internet. It went wild. Memes flooded social media. Reaction videos went viral. Comments poured in. Within minutes, Whoopi's shocked expression was everywhere, replayed across platforms. But this moment was bigger than usual. Whoopi has a long history of stirring controversy, from tone-deaf Holocaust remarks to defending dubious figures, dragging ABC into repeated conflicts over the years. She's turned the network into what often seems like a lawsuit factory. Yet this time, the backlash was on a new scale. ABC faced its biggest potential hit yet, the surge of slander claims from Elon Musk
that you saw live on this program yesterday. Joy Behar stirring the pot of controversy after saying this about Karoline.
She's probably been put in there because according to Donald Trump, she's a 10. You know that's what it is.
Do you want to take this?
No, you cannot be attractive and smart. I will try to give Joy the benefit, and no, thank you. I try to give Joy the benefit of the doubt that she didn't see that briefing, because if you saw that yesterday on numerous topics, no big binder, I think she might have had a different impression of this young woman who helped.
Caroline Underwood, and now Karoline Leavitt. Whoopi couldn't shift the blame. No one else could be made the scapegoat. Remember Carrie Underwood? Whoopi and her co-hosts relentlessly mocked her after she performed at Trump's second inauguration, escalating far beyond critique. They ridiculed her, questioned her career, and implied she supported hatred, assuming she'd quietly take it. But Carrie did the unexpected. She filed a $1 billion defamation lawsuit against The View, bypassing tweets or vague statements. And when the case finally reached trial, the drama shocked everyone, especially Whoopi. Watching someone break from the usual narrative is refreshing.
Reason we fought and busted our behinds to make sure that you didn't have to worry about this. And now to hear you talk about it and to hear anybody talk about the wokeness was put in place for a reason. Because black people couldn't get into colleges. Because women could not get into the colleges they wanted to go to. This is all women. See, this is not black, Asian women. This is all women. Women were not invited to this party. It was a man's world, and we busted our...
It's inspiring to see a person defend their perspective with facts, especially when mainstream voices start to waver. Hearing a viewpoint that doesn't follow the expected agenda feels invigorating. It's gratifying to see Caroline finally get the recognition she deserves for her accomplishments. In contrast, Whoopi's recent track record is harder to define. While she once enjoyed a successful acting career, her current focus seems more about stirring controversy than fostering meaningful conversation. Today, her position on The View feels more tied to longevity than real contribution.
To give her the benefit of the doubt that she did absolutely no research or reading about anything dealing with Karoline Leavitt before she made that remark. Because Karoline Leavitt she went to St. Anselm College, she worked for WMUR
Ran for Congress?
in New Hampshire. She ran for Congress at the age of 25, but had a very good campaign.
Lately, there's little evidence of any remarkable achievement. Emails recently made public revealed something startling. The attack on Carrie Underwood wasn't accidental. ABC had allegedly orchestrated it to boost ratings. This wasn't a slip of the tongue, it was a calculated campaign designed to keep The View in the spotlight while sparking controversy. The revelation stunned the industry. Executives scrambled into damage control and quietly agreed to a significant, undisclosed settlement. Rumors began circulating that the show might no longer be worth the trouble. Just as the storm seemed to settle, Elon Musk entered the picture. For months, Whoopi and her co-hosts had spread misleading narratives about Musk's ownership of Twitter, painting him as a threat. He wasn't about to let that slide. When he filed a lawsuit, the show plunged back into crisis. Advertisers began pulling out.
She lost by 8 or 9 points, but she still put on a good campaign. Then she was the press secretary for the Trump campaign, going on TV literally every day.
While heavily pregnant and a new mom.
Yeah, she's a new mother. And then she goes out yesterday and gives and this is speaking very objectively, because I've watched every press secretary since going back to Marlon Fitzwater. Yeah, I'm that old. And she went out there for her very first briefing at the age of 27.
Yeah, I was
the youngest press secretary ever. And did a terrific.
Concerned about the risk as The View's once glorious ratings started to slip, multiple lawsuits compounded the perception that the program's influence was waning. Whoopi Goldberg's formerly untouchable authority was suddenly faltering. ABC was in panic mode. 3 major lawsuits.
Yeah. I would like to young lady this is her first job, I would like her to do a little homework. Because she said something yesterday that really pissed me off. And that was, she said, there will be no wokeness here.
Oh, yeah.
Let me explain something to you. Because without that wokeness, you might not have that job.
Yeah.
Because women were not invited to that table. Women were not invited to many tables in this nation.
A loss of ad revenue and no easy way to stop the slide. The program was no longer the unshakable asset it once seemed. Whoopi's tenure on The View ended abruptly. Karoline Leavitt's steadfast presence and challenges to the status quo had pushed the situation to a tipping point. Years of controlling the narrative and silencing dissent finally collided with undeniable facts. ABC attempted to soften the blow by airing moments that highlighted Whoopi's missteps on live TV, but the network's decision was clear: her time was over. With advertisers pulling back and even loyal viewers questioning the show's relevance, The View faces a turning point. Will the network hire someone new to maintain the old formula? Or will the program pivot in a completely new direction? Could this be the start of The View's decline? Share your thoughts in the comments below.